King Von was who King Von is.
He was a serial killer who bragged about killing people, and he professed and confessed to be a demon.
He was that, bro. If he wanted you out of there, he'll go do it himself on feet by himself.
Von gave me a lot of passes. He could have killed me a couple times.
I was happy as hell when I found out Von was dead. I cooked for the whole day.
I was relieved for the community, man, because he was over there torturing them guys, man. I ain't gonna...
But today, I want to show y'all the man who made it possible for us to have King Von, the one they call Silk from Ada Park.
Rest in peace to Silk from Ada Park, that was the oldest.
Before there was a Daquan Bennett, there was Walter E. Bennett, a.k.a. Silk. Now, although they look so much like they are twins, there is a 20-year difference between these two dudes. Von's pops was born on the 28th of October, 1974. And right from the beginning of his life, Walter Bennett never had it normal. According to several sources, his parents were so deep in the streets that they couldn't even have him in a traditional hospital. They don't know.
Welcome to another episode, everyone. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. And as you just heard, we're talking about King Von's dad, King Von's father, also known as Silk, and the tragic end that he met. As you all just heard, some individuals were happy when King Von was deleted because they said that he was rap serial killer. He was out there causing so much havoc in the community that some individuals, as you just saw, celebrated. When he passed away, his father apparently was not too much better with the weaponry and with the dastardly deeds.
Who might pull up on them, because even back then the streets were going crazy. Instead, he was delivered by a midwife on silk sheets. This was why Walter Bennett was given the nickname Silk. His parents were rich enough to afford Silk because they had made a lot of money from hustling in the streets. Silk grew up in Ada Park, a popular park located in the Morgan Park area. His father was a laid-back gangster, the kind that spoke only when he needed to, but on the other hand, Silk's mom was a live wire. And even though she's a woman, you don't want to play with her. She's the kind that would whoop your backside if you talk stupid. But she was also fiercely independent and was respected by everyone in the hood. Silk's mama was also very independent, and this same independence spilled into her son. After some time, Silk's parents split up, and his stepfather had a huge impact on his life. His stepdad was Big Reggie, a street legend that was also a millionaire, and he taught him a lot about how to move in the streets. And this set Silk on his path to become a street legend. But before he fully embraced the street, Silk was almost never in the streets at all. According to a lot of folks who knew him on the block, he used to play basketball in Ada Park. And even though he wasn't the biggest, Silk was a really good player. So good that a lot of people felt he could have made it to the NBA. And this was a huge sliding doors moment. If Silk had made it to the NBA, he would surely have taken his family out the hood. Von wouldn't have grown up in O Block, never visited WIIC City at all. He probably never would have jumped off that porch or become a demon in the streets. He would never have become V. Roy, never met Dirk or joined OTF. And that crazy story would have never happened. Just a spoiled rich kid of an NBA player. But rather than shooting hoops, Silk became a member of the Black Disciples and started hustling in the streets. So, of course, this got him into a lot of trouble with the law. Silk caught a charge that led to him spending 9 years in Menard Correctional Facility, one of the most dangerous prisons in the city. When Silk got back from prison, he was well respected and rewarded by his gang for not talking and selling out anybody. He kept it gangster. Silk was rewarded with the BD Tower on Robert Taylor Homes in State Street to run as his own. The BD's rewarded with his own tower, not just because of his loyalty, but they knew Silk had the street smarts to pull it off. This was when King Von's father started pulling in a lot of money. Word on the block is that Silk became a millionaire at a very young age. Everyone knew who Silk was. He commanded a lot of respect, looked after his peoples, and had a very big heart. He didn't have a big circle, just a small crew of his homies that he trusted. Silk didn't just hang out with anyone, and not just anyone could hang out with Silk, because if you kicking it with Silk, you gotta be ready for anything, because he was really about that life. And this reminds you of only one person, King Von. Tay Capone stated in an interview that not everyone could hang out with Von because you know you was gonna be in a shootout, and you gotta be ready to use that strap.
In 2012, everybody couldn't hang with Von. Like, if you was hanging with Von, you had to accept everything that came with Von. You had to accept that you was gonna be in shooting, accept that it was gonna be that, and you had to be with it. You feel me? With Von, you feel me? And this was a lot of the time. Everybody didn't want to hang with him. They couldn't, because you had to be on what he was on. A lot of them wasn't on what Von was on, because Von was like that. You feel me? So that was faking, for sure ain't want to end up somewhere with Von by themselves. You feel me? Niggas that was soft, really didn't want nothing to do with this. They went back. They weren't trying to kick it with Von and stay around him too long. You feel me?
While King Von's father was living that crazy life, he was never shy about spending that money. Silk had a thing for cars. He was always buying the newest cars and bringing them to the hood. When Silk was around, he had the whole block turned up. He was like a neighborhood superstar. Silk was also a ladies' man. One rumor that was quite popular is that Silk had a key ring that he always carried around that had...
Certainly like father, like son. The apple does not fall far from the tree. Oftentimes, some of this stuff is in your bloodline. It's hereditary. It can be passed down. That's why oftentimes you see father and son exactly alike in many ways. If the father is running a business and is wealthy, he gears his son towards this very thing. Of course, sometimes the child acts out and goes wayward, but for the most part, you are a product of what you see and what you are taught. And if this is what you see growing up, this is what is instilled in you. There's no surprise that King Von took to the same attitudes and behaviors there on the street with this demon time. And I mean, they talk about King Von as it, I mean, not only did he have the opposition scared, but even friends that were weak were scared to be around him and be caught somewhere alone with him for fear that he might take them out. And his father, it doesn't seem like he's on such a violent mission. He's on more of a money mission, apparently. Well, King Von eventually, got on a money mission as well as he became a rapper, became popular and famous, and began to make plenty of money. And I'm sure he was making money before, but clearly he was prone to violence, was King Von, and had a lot of individuals scared. His father seems to be more prone to just getting money and get violent or whatever when necessary. But still, they're cut from the same cloth.
Several keys. All of them belonged to multiple women. All these women trusted him enough to give him their keys and just allow him to come around whenever he wanted to. Silk was raking in them Benjamins, and he was a player. This why he ended up having 7 children with multiple baby mamas. It's why he and Von Mama split up, and Von didn't get to spend a lot of time together. But despite all of this, a lot of reports state that Silk was never a deadbeat father. He didn't miss out on spending time with Von because he wanted to. They didn't spend enough time together because Silk was always in and out of jail and always loved his dad, only ever said good things about him. He practically worshipped him. Instead, he always tweeted about how the streets took his dad from him. Silk was killed when Von was only 11 years old. According to the streets, there are 2 theories about how Silk was killed. The first one is that Silk was killed because he robbed the wrong person. According to OTF Vonnie's father, Hassan Craig, Silk was killed because broke into someone's house and jacked them for their money. The person had cameras in their home, and when they saw that it was Silk.
I knew who hired him. The whole city knew who hired him because Silk allegedly broke into a house and took some money, and the people had cameras or whatever the case may be. And I later found out who it was, and I didn't know him from a can of paint. They like, man, you got to know him, and so I don't know him. And word got back to me that somebody dropped a bug in his ear and let him know that I ain't about that, and I ain't, I'm a Muslim and I'm doing this, that, and other. So stand down. You ain't got to worry about him coming to retaliate or what's this, that, and other. So it's just what it was, That's just what it was. And do I believe he was backdoored by the people who he went on this thing with? Yeah, but I don't have any proof, and I only speak facts. I only speak facts, and whatever in the dark got to come to the light, and no soul shall taste death without God's permission. So that's just what it is.
While Von's pops was loved by a lot of people, he also had a lot of enemies, a lot of people who were jealous of him and were ready to do anything to see him put in the ground. So it's no surprise if he was backdoored and betrayed by those he trusted. It's the streets, there's too many snakes, and you never know who you can trust. Now, a lot of people have questioned this story because Silk was very rich, and he didn't get that rich from robbing people. But just because someone had bread doesn't stop them from stealing from other people. We're not saying Silk was a thief, but this is what the streets been saying. Also, you've got to realize that Silk was not a rapper, had anything to do with hip-hop, or ever been anywhere near a studio. None of that. He was just a street dude, hustling, and cares only about his money. Silk wasn't narrating his life and crimes in song or posting on any social media, so it's harder to get information about him. The second theory is the most popular one and the one that most people believe. This was a different period in Chicago, unlike these days when street dudes are clipped by drive-bys, ambushed outside gas stations, or tracked by the ops to an alley. Back in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, they had different ways of getting their ops. They used more sophisticated methods where you don't even see the bullet or the shooter coming until they put a hole in your body. During this period in Chicago, a lot of hoods were way more organized in how they handled business, so the projects and high-rise buildings actually had snipers on their roofs. I wish I was capping, but it is what it is. If you a strange face and you are getting too close to their hood, you just see the red dot on your shirt. They letting you know they spotted you from a mile away, and you better come correct or they could end you just like that. It was on the 31st of July 2005 that Silk's time would come. Just like the first theory, the streets say he was backdoored and betrayed by a friend. Silk didn't get his money by robbing people. He was a big-time dealer. On this day, he was allegedly a victim of a deal gone bad. He was at the rink of a roller skating center located at 1122 East 87th Street when he was hit in the head by a sniper and his life ended right there on the spot. Von's uncle confirmed in this interview that his big brother was got by a sniper rifle.
I got a special connection to him. I don't have the BD OTF connection. I got a different type of connection. When I saw nigga, I saw my big brother again. Big bro died, I saw my big brother again. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Like, I'm with big bro every day. Kill his daddy with a sniper rifle. This shit get deep though, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, sniper. He hit him with a sniper rifle. They at the skate rink, but you know, that's another story. He was a different nigga, you know what I'm saying? But he just like Von, big heart. You got a big heart.
Many believe Silk was hit with a sniper because they couldn't get him up close. He was so feared, and with the way he moved, it would be difficult to just sneak up on him in the streets. Word on the street is that Walter E. Bennett, also known as Silk, was allegedly shot by a man known in the streets as Killer Wall, a member of a gang called Terror Dome. Even though his dad was killed when he was very young, losing his father to the street is that death that changed Von for forever.
That's cold. It's hard to get away from a sniper. Someone that knows what they're doing, you know, that's what got Charlie Kirk. You know, get up on something, you just coming out of a store or you just sitting down right there or whatever, getting out of your car. No one's right there. You don't see a threat at all. The sniper is somewhere, you know, many feet away, many yards away, posted up, hidden by something, concealed by something, and you're not going to see the barrel of the rifle per se. You just getting out of your car, coming from wherever you're coming from, and get hit in the head by a sniper, you're done. That's it, you're done. And they said they feared this individual Silk so much that instead of approaching him, getting into a conflict or getting up on him and shooting him or whatever, they said, let's just stay away from him, all the way away from this dude. He may have security, he may have weapons with him, all of this stuff. So let's get back here, way wherever, and take him out. Wow.
From putting Silk from Ada Park in his songs, you could tell that King Von really loved his dad just by the number of times he's posted about his old man on social media. That's not a man who holds any grievances against his father. That's a son who idolizes him. Although they only spent very little time together, you can tell Von cherishes all the memories. And apart from looking so alike, Silk and Von are like two sides of the same coin and share many similarities. They both started getting money at a young age. They were both feared and respected in the streets. The father and son were also big on loyalty. They were both ladies' men. The two of them were also very charismatic and moved differently in the streets. Von and his pops also kept a small circle, but unfortunately, they were also both set up by their friends.
Von was set up that night. So therefore, this was orchestrated. The people were paid to kill him that night. Fist for fist, knife for knife, gun for gun. You don't have the right to pull a gun and we're fighting fists. It's a backdoor. It ain't gonna never make sense to you because you wasn't there for the payment to get dropped off to Lil Tim.
How you know that this payment was dropped off to Lil Tim? I heard you say you was with him.
I'm with him.
Okay, so take us back to that day when you and Vonnie went to go drop off the bag. How did that happen? What was going on?
Vonnie come get me from the house. They already got the money ready in the back of the Suburban, maybe a 97, 98 Suburban. And give me a pipe. I don't ask no questions. We roll and we go to the country part of Georgia, and we can even pull my phone records. And that may let us know because my phone started roaming. This how deep we was in the sticks. My phone was roaming, and we sitting on the side of the highway in a neighborhood though, a little 2-lane highway, sitting on the side of the highway. Lil Tim come flying past us on a 4-wheeler. I didn't know who he was, I didn't know the name. But prior to that, let's go back, prior to that, we pull up on Quando at Quando's crib. My son tried to get the money to Quando. Quando say, no, I don't want nothing to do with that. You gotta go take care of yourself. Like, you're not finna put nobody else's money in my hand and they say it was short or whatever the case may be. You take that to him. You understand? So we end up taking the money to the guy. But I'm not knowing what it's for. I don't know whether or not they finna get some weed later on or what they finna do. I don't know. You know what I mean? But by him saying, Lil Tim running from the police on the 4-wheeler, and like I said, it's like we're in the middle of a drug deal, so I know I Googled my phone because I got a partner named Tim from Memphis. He got caught up running through the woods with bags of money and everything. You can Google it. You know what I mean? And it's the same situation, so it played in my mind, because like I said, it's like we're in the middle of a drug dealer. We got money, we got pipes. My man Tim, he got caught up running from the police in the woods. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just say his name, Timothy Woods. You can Google it, Memphis, Tennessee, running from the police. And he got caught with 200,000 in the woods and all this type of crazy stuff. So the situation reminded me of that. And then for this to be the same person that ended up shooting Von, this is what that money had to be for.
Let me know in the comments.
Wow. There you have it. Whoa. That's a lot. That's a lot going on there. Let me know what you think in the comments. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. There you have it. Silk, King Von's dad. And that individual there said it was all a setup. Silk got set up for the deletion, and so did King Von. But whatever the case, whatever happened, it just all goes back to the street. You have to stay ready. If you're gonna be out there on the street, you have to be careful, extremely cautious, and you're gonna have to stay ready because the karma is for real, and the things that you put out there is going to come back. That's just the way that the streets are. They're unforgiving, and they love no one. Rich, famous, gangster, it doesn't matter, man. You have to get out of there. You know, again, it seems like King Von's dad was more into getting money than he was into killing. But apparently he was still very feared, to the point that they had to snipe him in order to take him out. They sniped him. They didn't even get up on him. They ain't drive by. They ain't jump out the car on him. They somewhere off and had to snipe the man and put one in his head to take him out because they were scared to get up on him and bust it. That's crazy work right there. Wow. Stay safe and stay free, people.